Obviously, compromise is a requirement for a relationship. No one's questioning that, or no one should deny that, right? If you do, then you're probably having a rough time in your relationship right now. But with that being said, there's two core things you never compromise on. Now, before we get to those two things, let's make sure we're on the same page about what compromise actually means. So, compromise means you and the other party involved, or the parties, however many that is, gives up something in light of working towards a solution or a common ground together. So, almost in any relationship, if you're going to create the best harmony and best synchronicity, if you will, you have to figure out what are the things that you are willing to give up to make that work, right? Within reason, obviously. But with that said, the two core things that you never compromise on are your standards and your boundaries. And where a lot of people get themselves into trouble is they wind up spending more time compromising on one of those two or both of them. And then it puts them in one of the worst positions they can be, that builds internal resentment over time until it bubbles up and boils and blows out of them, right? And they wind up saying something or having a lash out moment or being really triggered by something that their partner does because they're compromising on things that are not compromisable. Understand your standards are what you require to be you. It's what you've determined is necessary to live in a way that you can be happy, to be healthy, to be whole. It's what you require to live life in the manner that you deem is the best way to be the best you. And as that is true, we always have to live in accordance to how we self-identify. Because when we don't, we feel like life is wrong because it's not the way that we see it needing to be, right? And if it's not the way you feel like it needs to be for you, then you feel like you're not being you, and you feel like you're lost, or you feel like you're not comfortable in your own skin. So standards are non-negotiables. The same to be said for your boundaries. Your boundaries are there to protect your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So those are the things that cannot happen, right? You can't compromise on allowing your partner to do things that violates boundaries that are there to keep you healthy, happy, and whole, physically, mentally, and emotionally. See, the main issue in a lot of relationships is one or both people don't want to compromise and aren't compromising at all. But just as much as that is a thing, on the opposite end, there's probably even more relationships where one or both people are compromising on the areas they should never compromise on, right? And see, how you determine the difference and where the plane lands is getting clear for yourself on, all right, the things my partner is maybe wanting me to have a little more give for with them. Are they things that are preferences for me that I would like it to be a certain way? I want it to ideally be this way, but are not required for me to where I could give that up or let that go in light of the peace and the love that I want to have, or determining whether that thing that you're trying to compromise on is going to leave you feeling like something is less in your life now, something that you need to still be happy. So general rule of thumb, ask yourself, can I still be happy and healthy and still give this thing up that my partner needs me to give up for them to be happier and for us to find middle ground? Because what a lot of people do is they rope preferences into their standards. Well, without those things, they actually, would still be fine and wouldn't lose anything, right? But yet they keep fighting against their partner to not let go of the preferences if the preference things they prefer really impacts or infringes on something that does not work for their partner, doesn't work for their partner's standards, right? And so it's the job of you and your partner both to get clear on, what do I actually require versus what I prefer? What's actually unhealthy for me? And if it happens, it starts to impact me in a harmful way, physically, mentally, emotionally. And so it's unacceptable versus, okay, I don't necessarily like this thing, but it's not violating anything that's going to put me in a poor state of health or well-being. So if you can't justify why letting go of something or giving up something in light of your partner, right, is not going to make you feel like you're being less of you and you're not, being who you are as a person, right? Or if you can't identify how giving this thing up or allowing something to happen, even, right, is not going to put you in a poor state of mental, physical, or emotional well being, then you cannot compromise on it. You have to be able to vet for yourself on why doing said thing or allowing said thing is not going to infringe on what you require to be you and to be the best you for them, and how it's not going to start chipping away at you towards you feeling secure or safe or healthy or happy in the equation, right? And if you have not done that and you're compromising on things that you should never compromise on, I guarantee you're building resentment within yourself towards your partner and ultimately towards yourself on a subconscious level. And if you do have some resentment towards your partner right now, or even are aware of some that you have towards yourself, that's exactly where it's coming from and is a byproduct of. And that means the first thing you need to do is go have a conversation to make some changes. You have to stop compromising immediately on the things that chip away at you being you, right? But just as much as I'm saying that, on the opposite end, once you get clear on what is required for you, non-negotiable for you to be healthy, happy, whole you, standards and boundaries wise, then you have to start shaving off the things that were preferences for you, but not necessarily requirements, if those things are causing issues in your relationship and you've been unwilling to budge on compromising on them before. And here's the hard truth ultimately. If you do realize there's some things that needs to be adjusted, that you've been compromising on things that are not compromisable for you, right? And you make those shifts and your partner is really resistant to that, or let me say it like this, the things you recognize you can no longer compromise on actually infringes on what they need standards wise to be them, or what they need boundaries wise to preserve themselves, right? If you being you and you having what you require really infringes on them, then now you just learn you guys are not compatible, or it's not meant to go the mile the way you thought it was supposed to go. And that's okay, because it's going to serve both of you guys to either get out of this relationship sooner than later to be healthy for yourselves, or to learn where you have been kind of holding to things that you should be compromising more on, and to make you maybe help your partner become aware of things that you've been allowing or putting up with that actually is making you less of the happy person you want to be, which makes them upset because they're not having a happier partner. And so you sometimes put these things on the radar, they become more willing to compromise with you and work with you on the things that you need once they realize how much it's impacting you in a really negative, unhealthy way. End of the day, have the conversation immediately and stop compromising on the things that winds up making the relationship with yourself internally compromised. Let's get it.